Okay, so Solomon's not here. And Ruth is not here. Ruth may be coming though.
I have you, me, Hazel, Chris Belcher, Sergi, and Stephanie.
Stephanie, you want me to unmute you? Just nod if yes or no. Okay.
Yeah, you should be able to unmute yourself
unmute.
now.
Okay.
Susan can't be here either, right? So, okay. So, I think we should go through like the meat of a normal meeting first, and then we need to talk about the conference because this is the last time we're going to meet before we have to submit all of our stuff. So for our April meeting, I have Wednesday, April 5th at 6:30. I am wondering if you all on the phone right now or on the call right now are available on Monday, April 3rd, instead of April 5th. Stephanie's a yes.
I am not, but I will tell you that the April 5th is the first night of Passover. And
Okay.
I don't think it affects anybody on the board, but it's just considered not done to have a meeting when there's another, when there's a religious and really important holiday.
Okay, so Monday the 3rd. Sergi, can you do that day?
I'm good for the 3rd.
You're good. Okay, let me see. Chris says yes. Stephanie said yes. Sergi, did you give me a thumbs up?
She did. Oh, okay. All right.
I'm so confused why this is not working. Are you when you guys unmute, are you like muted again or like?
Yeah, like I saw
Yeah.
Jenny sent a message too. She said I got okay, she's unmuted. Okay.
Yeah. So don't mute yourself at all. Like we
Okay.
just don't just leave yourself up the whole time just in case, because I don't know why it's doing that.
Okay.
So you did say yes, Sergi, right?
No, Mondays are horrible for me.
Oh, Monday, you said no. Okay.
Yeah, Mondays are really bad for me.
I said Tuesdays don't work. I think we need to make it Monday or Tuesday though, with what Hazel just said. Let me make sure that Tuesday I can do. I can do the Wednesday. I will do the Wednesday, but if we're not gonna do it, okay. So if we don't want to do it because it's a religious holiday, then we got to make it the 2nd or 3rd. So, sorry, the 3rd or the 4th. So I think what I might do, maybe I'll do a Google poll. I can't do it later. I'm leaving on Friday for London, and I'm working and packing up kids and whatever. I'm not going to be able to do it on Thursday, the Thursday before we leave. We're driving 5 hours to New York Airport, JFK, and I'm not going to be able to have a meeting the night before or 2 nights before. I'll send out a Google poll maybe for this meeting then, and we'll see. It could be that we maybe need to we're going to have an event on March 29th. Maybe we need to do it for the following week in April. That avoids the holiday, and maybe, I don't know, we'll figure it out. What'd you say? Nothing. Hanan is not here, and that's okay. But I'm just what do you guys think about leading the newsletter or putting it at the very top of every newsletter, what our event is each month? Is that repetitive? Should we not do it in that space? I would like Hanan's input on this, but just what do you guys think?
I don't see why it shouldn't be. I think if that's the main source of communication and like the main go-between, I think that it should be there so that
Okay.
people can keep it in there. I'm sorry, I have got up at 5:30 brand new. Keep it in their minds.
Okay, and yeah, I think right now we know we have the social happy hour on March 29th. We need to in a minute here talk about the April, but I think if we've got a good cycle going, we can just, yeah, this is what goes here. Just like we're sending in, here's for the Twitter, here's for Facebook, here are the jobs. Okay, the event, someone is probably you, Stephanie, would say the event this every week, and it's going to be the same for 4 weeks, and then you're going to change it for the next month.
I would, if I would, you don't mind a suggestion, I would suggest like changing it up a little bit every week so that people don't think it's boilerplate.
Yeah.
Besides which, at the big, on the first newsletter of the month, you're going to say, our event this month will be
Right.
on such and such a date. And then as you get closer to it, don't you want to say something like just a reminder?
Yeah.
Or I can just tease a little bit every week, you know, we'll be talking about this. You remember last week I mentioned this, we'll also be talking about that, or yeah, I can, that's, we can.
I just think we need to include the email address to register, not register, but to get the Zoom information every time too. And we'll talk more about that in a minute also. Let's do membership though. Since Hanan's not here to talk anymore about the newsletter, I haven't heard about any issues with the newsletter. That was just my thought, like, let's make sure we get it into every newsletter, but I don't have anything else pressing for it, for that topic. Sergi, what do you want to give us an update on the membership?
Sure. So Hazel and I met recently. I'm leaning heavily on Hazel's analysis. She's trying to bring me up to speed, and from what she pointed out, we discovered there are 41 new members in the that have joined the freelance community. One of the things we discussed was that she had previously had some different data points that she was putting together, and she questioned whether it was relevant because we weren't sure if folks were going to use it. And I encouraged her. I said, no, definitely, we should definitely keep everything in there. I just need to be brought up to speed into how she extracts it from Excel. And I know nothing about Excel. I know what cells and rows are, and that's about it. So I'm getting pretty full. So it's pretty bad. So I encourage you to keep all those data points forthcoming in upcoming reports. I just need to know how to extract that from Excel. We have another meeting, I believe, the week of the 13th. I'm going to shoot her my schedule to see when we can chat and hopefully get more up to speed. But 41 new members is my answer.
Great, that's
I
awesome.
think it would, I think it would make sense if one of us reached out to these 41 new members and as it comes up and introduce ourselves and say, hey, every month we have this, at the conference, we're gonna have this. Nice to meet you, welcome. And maybe that would create some buy-in for sessions and more participation and potentially more volunteers.
We had talked about doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about having a welcome letter. Ginny had worked on one and I had sent it off to Ruth, and during the last meeting, you guys had asked for Ruth to just take a quick look at it and kind of just check, you know, cross the I's and double the T's, whatever that saying is. Cross the T's and whatever. Anyway, so I haven't heard back from Ruth, but that's where we are with that. We definitely want to do that, kind of have a standardized welcome letter and kind of have, you know, shoot that out to folks when they join. So
Who sent that to Ruth?
I did.
Okay.
I can double check and say, hey, Ruth, did you know, I imagine she's swamped with emails, but I sent it a while ago. So
I just wonder if it fell off her radar a little bit. I asked her to proof something for me. And she did it the day I sent it to her. So I wonder if
okay, so I will.
She might have been busy for 2 weeks and then just, oh, I got to go back to that. So if you just send her a follow-up email, yeah.
Sure.
My feedback on that, I think, would be instead of, I wouldn't have it completely standardized. I would try to make it a little personal, a sentence or two at least, to let them know that we know they exist and, you know, where maybe what industry they work in or whatever. So that, you know, it would create a familial kind of, you know, cordial atmosphere.
And I think in that too, I don't know what that letter, I can't remember what that letter looked like, but make sure we have our Facebook link, our Twitter link in there. We don't know how they got to us. Did they just get to us from our from the SPJ website? Do they know about Facebook? Do they know about Twitter? We're letting them know they're signed up for that. They're automatically going to get our newsletter. But yeah, talking about the event. So we might actually need, we might need to revamp the letter a little bit now, thinking about this. If we want to talk about the, talk about monthly programming. Ginny, did you put that in there, the first letter version of that letter?
I haven't looked at it in a while, so I can't recall that exactly. I mean,
Okay.
I could
I can
redo it a
email
little
it
if we wanted
to you again, Stacy. I'll email it to you, Ruth, and I'm not sure, do you want it again, Ginny? Just take a look at it, but
Yeah, I probably have it. I think it's in the board folder, but
it's in the Google
whatever's
Drive.
easier.
Yeah, I think all we need to do is just like what Stephanie suggested at as the programming director, just making sure we let people know that if we say we have an event every month, or we try to have an event every month. I don't know if I want to use the word try. We probably won't in September, the conference month.
Maybe we could say something like we have regular events, or
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, yeah, I guess figure out how you want to put that, Stephanie. I don't know if that's something you want to
I
chime in.
can, well, I don't know what's already there. I mean, if you want to send me what you have, and I can try to maybe develop a little template from that and just make, we could do like a Google Doc where we change one section
Yeah.
of it for each new member and then send it off. That might help. It'll be just a template, but with a changeable
I like that
paragraph.
idea, actually
Yeah.
having it. Is it a Google Doc right now?
I believe it's a Google Doc.
Okay, I like that idea. And then once maybe we can commit to all going in there and taking a look at it this week. And then once we're done with that, if you want to shoot an email to Ruth Sergi to let her know we're going to do that, and then see if she can do it next week, look at over next week, Monday, or whatever.
So should I just email it to everyone on the board? Everyone take a look at it from there, and then I'm not sure. You said everyone wants to take a look at it.
I would, just to see if there's something you think we're leaving out.
So I'll just email it to everyone.
Hazel, actually, Hazel just shared it. It's in the Google
Okay.
folder. So
Okay.
Hazel just shared it. So you don't have to take that step.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll keep that in our head about getting.
It's not complete. It's one that I was working on, and it's a mail merge kind of thing. But, there may be other, you should do it from you, Sergi. This is from when I was membership chair.
Well, Ginny, this is not the one that Ginny wrote then, Hazel? Okay, so yes.
Apparently, I thought it was, but let's see here. Let me look. Let's see if there's another one.
This does not look like one I sent from Ginny.
Yeah, so why don't we use the one that Ginny sent, and we'll add to that one, Sergi. Okay, hello, Solomon. Hold on, I'm gonna ask to unmute, because apparently there's some kind of demonic firewall.
So you asked how people find the freelance community? I found it through the SPJ website. I didn't even know about the Facebook page until recently.
Yeah, and I bet a lot of people do, actually. So that's actually really good to know, Chris.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
I've only been an SPJ member for 2 years, so.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's do that, Sergi. Let's do this. Let's use the letter that Ginny wrote. If we can get that as a Google Doc, and then, do you know how to do that, Sergi? If it's not in there already, set it up as a Google Doc.
It's in there. I got it from the Google Drive. I'm not sure
Perfect.
exactly.
Okay. So that one, so we'll just, if Stephanie and maybe Stephanie and you want to go in and just kind of take a look at it, I think we need to have the links to the freelance, or sorry, the Facebook and Twitter page. And then when we get it sort of nailed down, Sergi, where it looks good, let's have Ruth take a look at it.
Okay, so you want me to reach out to Stephanie? We just kind of take a look at it together?
I think so. I think it should say, well, right, welcome the new members, talk about the programming that we have. Stephanie, you actually probably don't need to do this. You could probably do this, Sarah G, just say that we offer programming every month, or we have monthly events. Something friendly in there about that. The links to Twitter, the link to our Facebook page. Do we want to send the link? Oh, I had suggested sending the link to the database too. Do we want to include that link to the
It's in
pitching
there.
guidelines?
It's in the
I think
version
it's already
I was writing.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
in there.
You don't want to inundate them with too much stuff, but I think that's a really good welcome letter.
Sure.
I got a question.
Yeah.
With the welcome letter, those are people that already obviously found the freelance community and know how to join it and stuff like that. Are we going to like give them a list of the people that are on the board in that welcome letter somehow, so they know who the leadership is?
I would
Also a
probably
good idea.
err, yeah, on that side, so they know if they want to reach out to someone or get involved, then they know, at least have a name or two to find.
I
can
wonder
share-
if that could be just at the bottom of that welcome letter, like,
They should just-
here's our
Yeah.
board with the names and titles, but it's coming from our freelance community email, or is it coming from you, Sergi, this welcome letter? Whose email is this going to come from?
Good question. I'm thinking it would be coming from me since I'm the membership
Yep.
chair, but
Okay.
it would come through from the freelance community email is what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
so if it comes from you, then they've got a direct contact already, which I think is great. I like the idea of it coming from a person, not necessarily the freelance community email. I like that.
I think that's
And
gonna be more
they'll always see when
personable.
they see your name pop up, they'll be like, oh, like they'll just know it's you, right? So I like the personalization of that, but we could at the end then just put everybody's name and title if we want to. See how it looks,
That-
maybe.
Maybe we could make that part of the signature line,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that
Yeah.
that way it's just us signing and saying, because it's a friendly letter. So she's
Right.
writing the letter, she's sending it out, and then everyone's signing it and everyone's welcoming new members.
You might actually say, if you have any questions about events or have any questions or thoughts or suggestions, we might want to put our email in there, the SPJ freelance community at Gmail. So maybe add that in there too. Just ways to reach out to us, names, they've got names. It's not just okay, I've just joined this, and actually everything I've just joined, I don't have any names for. So this is I think this will set us apart because I've been in lots of different, I've just joined a bunch of different stuff as I'm looking for jobs, or freelance jobs every Wednesday, and they're all very informal. And there's been no welcome letter, so. From
I'm not
any of them.
Finding Ruth's welcome letter. I don't
You don't see it in there?
know.
And let me see if and that's what I'm
No,
looking for now.
I mean, the one that Jenny had drafted.
Ginny Rowe, okay.
In my
Yeah,
internet,
I'm
it's
looking
not
for it
good, so I'm
now
gonna get off
in
here,
my email.
try and log on again. Sorry, Stacy.
I'm looking for it now, Hazel, in my email, because I know I sent it to both Stacy and Ruth. You may have sent it to me originally. I'm trying to locate it now in my email.
And I guess it's in the, where would it be? There's so many
It
folders.
was in the Google Drive, but one moment.
Oh, maybe membership?
Yes, membership.
There it is. Is this it? Or I'm in it right now. But I don't know if this is Ginny's. This might be Hazel's.
If it just ends after 3 bolded paragraphs, then it's the one that I was working on,
Yeah, it ends after the freelance opportunities database.
right?
Okay, that's, okay, so that's in that's where it should be, is membership. The membership folder, so now we just have to see if Ginny's is somewhere else in here.
Okay, I sent it to you. Oh, I sent it to, You know, that email to Ruth did not go out.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it's listed under drafts. And I sent it the 25th, but it never actually got sent out.
Well, that's good, because we'd have to ask her to do it again.
Yeah, because I said, happy Saturday, Ruth. It never went out. Hope
But-
all is well, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so
But-
I can,
Is
Hold
there
on,
a link in it?
no, it's an actual attachment. I'll send it to you now via email. Hold on, so I'll take Ruth off and I'll put both you, Hazel. I'll put Hazel. I'm sending you right now via
Okay.
email. Stacy.
Okay, and then we'll just save it in the membership folder. Does everybody here know how to get to the Google Drive freelance board folder and all those folders inside that? Is anybody stumped on that?
Nope. Got a link to it, so I'm good.
Okay, well,
Did you see, I don't know if you could check your email, see if you, I'm sorry, if you got it.
I can. I just wanna. I don't see it in my email yet. I just want to make sure that we can all get to it, even not just for this, because we're gonna have to continually go in there. You might not have to go in there right now, but in 3 weeks, we might say, oh, hey, can you help us with this? And you do have to go in there. So has everybody been to the, I guess it's really the newer people, Sergi, Stephanie, and Chris, have you been to the Google Drive? Do you know where that is? Okay,
Yeah, I went there and explored around after I got the link emailed to me.
perfect,
So-
okay. Okay,
Virgie, what you sent just now is the letter that I had worked on. But it's
Oh,
not
hold
complete,
on.
so it just ends after freelance opportunities database.
all
Really?
right, Ginny, we might need you to, you don't have to do it right now, Ginny, but we might need you to resend that to us if you can, if you don't mind.
Okay, no
Oh.
problem.
And then we can add to it. So let's do that. Let's just leave that there. We'll have Ginny resend it and then we'll start from that letter. Just because I want to move on, make sure we have enough time to talk about the conference. So let's move on to programming. And with Stephanie, we had our first, not everybody here made it, and that's totally fine. You're not, we're not like, oh, you got to be at every event. You certainly don't. But we can talk about that event, Stephanie, if you want to just give everybody a recap of what happened.
Sure. We had we had a balance of board members over freelance community members, but we had some enthusiastic folks who chose to inquire about volunteer opportunities, and I'm not sure, what happened after that, but they were, they stayed the whole time, and they decided to pitch in. So I think that is great. And I believe that one person had again, forgive me, late in the day, an idea for a conference session, which I think may have been sent along as well in the process.
Yeah, it was sent, and there's some good nuggets in there. I haven't responded to her yet. It's not something we'll pitch for the annual conference, with the deadline of a few days. But yeah, we should talk about that.
And we all introduced ourselves, and I think it was a good start. I would have liked to see more people, but I think maybe the initial contact, that's why I'm kind of thinking of the initial contact. If we can kind of get a hook into them right away, then maybe they'll come and explore you know, in the beginnings of their membership. And just try to find new ways to reach out to people, try to get them to come and see us.
And one of the things that we talked about was, I think it's too much work, and which sounds crazy, but I think it's too much work for some people to, hey, if you want to come to our meeting, email us and ask for a link. And they're emailing not a person, they're emailing the SPJ freelance community, which always feels like, well, is this even going anywhere? And it's like, email us at info@whatever, you know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm not going to email. So I think that might stop people, just taking that extra step to do that. So Solomon actually suggested, when we were talking about this, Solomon suggested sending the full Zoom link to everybody who gets the newsletter. So everybody who is on anybody who gets the newsletter. So we wouldn't send it within the newsletter. We could say our event, this is our event. I don't know when, we got to talk about this because I don't know when we would send it. We were not going to send it every week. Would we send it 2 weeks before? Would we send it 1 week before? But what we could do is we're going to send out, or look for an email. We're going to send this out with the Zoom information. And that stops people from having to email. So I think that would take that wall down. You would not know how many people are going to show up. Of course, there's that, but I don't think we're going to ever get, so many that we can't handle it. So I don't think that's that big of a deal to not know.
Why, what is the barrier to putting in a Zoom registration? People are used to that. They sign up for things on Zoom all the time.
Well, right now they're not, they actually have to send an email. Ours is very archaic. They're sending an email to the freelance community and saying, hey, can I have the link to the Zoom, to the event?
I know, but
If
why?
they just register, if we set up, I guess, as a webinar, or if we had set it up that way and just have them register, then that's easy. We could, that's
You
also,
do that with the meeting? You can't ask them to register for, I think you can.
I have not, I think there's all sorts of questions in there. I think you probably can do that. Yeah, I haven't studied it enough to know. So we could do it. So we have to change it then. We could do it that way instead of, hey, email the SPJ freelance community. I think that is the step that people, I think that'll stop some people. Some people who are like, oh, that'd be, oh, I kind of want to see that. I think a lot of people would just like to, oh, this is happening. I want to click in and just come in and look at it, right? They don't want to have to email and ask someone for a link. And, I just feel like that's stopping people. It's just an extra step I don't think we need. So I like Hazel, I like Hazel's idea of just, oh, that's really good. Thanks. So I like Hazel's idea of doing it where they just register. I will need to be shown how to do that if it's not on as a meeting. I'll try to figure it out first, but I can do that. Or we could do it where we send out. I guess I like that idea better than sending out the Zoom information in an email.
My problem with sending the Zoom information in an email to 500 or 600 people, 499 of whom won't really want the information anyway, is that it's not best Zoom practices. And there has been, there's a history, not recent history, but a history of people getting a hold of the link and coming into meetings and being disruptive, and
Okay.
that would
Zoom
be.
bombing.
Go ahead, Chris.
It's called Zoom bombing. And I
Zoom
don't think
bombing.
you really have to worry about it. I mean, it
Yeah,
tends to
that's a
happen
good
on
thought.
but you never know.
Right.
Okay. Well, so let's do, I mean, to be fair, people could register and come in and wreak havoc too, although if it's a webinar, oh, if it's a webinar, they can't talk to us. So we got to make sure we don't set it up as that.
Right.
I think meetings, everybody can talk. Webinars, only the hosts can talk and be seen. You can't see everybody else. So, all right, I'll do some digging. I might need your help, Hazel, with this.
Okay.
So we'll do that. Our next event is, oh, go ahead, Stephanie, you can tell us about the next event.
The next event is going to be at the end of next month, and it's going to be a social hour. And we had decided that we will do a small icebreaker to encourage conversation, and hopefully that will work. But we just want people to come in and get comfortable, and you know, leave the research and topics for us aside, and hope that we can forge some relationships
Yeah.
within the group, and help people get to know one another.
So we've got it for March 29th. If you want to write it down on your, well, probably most of you don't write stuff down. You probably put it in your calendar online. I still write stuff down. So if you want to put it down somewhere, that it's going to be 6:30 on Wednesday, March 29th, which is this month, but we can do it. This one actually is not like last month. So we're trying to do every other month, a very informal, just not a lot of planning. We're just going to come and talk and network. So there's not going to be a lot of planning for this one. Let me make sure Solomon is
Thank you,
still.
Stephanie, for the link to the Zoom instructions.
I think we should also talk about an April event while we're here, because our next meeting is not going to be until April. And I think we need to figure out what our April event is going to be right now.
Yeah.
And I wish Solomon was here, because he was the membership coordinator last year, and he's got some of those ideas too. But I think, I mean, Stephanie, you and Solomon have talked, so you probably have an idea of what we want to do for the next.
We had some ideas, but I think that we were kind of trying to get through this one, and then we had decided for the social hour. But let me see what we have here on my list. Well, we were talking about taxes. We were talking about editor meet and greet. I have self accountability, but it says for the coming year, so I think we're a little past that point. Mid-career crisis. I mean, we can probably build on anything that sounds good.
Can you say the first two again?
Tax resources and websites, editor meet and greet, mid-career solutions and guidance for established freelancers, breaking into television news, legal protections for freelancers, how to make a story into a book, the business side of freelancing. And I think that's probably it.
Okay. I will just throw out there, I think we should do a virtual meet and greet. The Washington Post has already reached out and said they want to be involved in that. They cannot do the one in Vegas for budgeting reasons. So I've already got the Washington Post for the virtual one. And I mentioned to them that I would love to try to do that in June, since we're doing every other month. So this month, March, is going to be the social hour. We'll do a little bit more organized event in April. May we'll do a social hour, networking, informal. And then June, I think, especially if we can say it out loud right now, I will do it right now, where we've got, especially the people who say, oh yeah, I can't travel to Vegas. Oh, if it's covered, I'll come. I can grab those people right now as I'm reaching out to them about the September session to do this in June. So let's plan for that, maybe the end of June, to do the editor meet and greet. So we really just need to decide on what we want to do for the end of April. So Stephanie just gave us a list of things. Does anybody have any thoughts on those? What you'd like to see?
have a thought germinating. It hurts.
Yeah, think about it. It's good.
Um, My thought is to, of course, we'd have to check it with Ruth. Because she would be, it's something that she and I could probably lead. Just do business of freelancing, but not a presentation as much as bring your questions. And we could ask people to send questions ahead of time and then also unearth some during the session. Does this sound like something that sounds good, Stephanie?
Yeah, well, there's another card here, which there's a picture behind it, so it was trouble for me to see the text, but it says, you are your brand. Freelancing means preparing to run a small business. Here are some steps to successfully start a business. That sounds like what you're saying. But there's also a card.
I wasn't going to go with how to start a business because I was trying to gear it to our members.
Yeah, understood. I just wanted to bring that one up too, because it sounded similar, but that's fine. There's also a card in there about photography. And I know Solomon and I both shoot photos as well. So that might be helpful if anybody wants to get into photography, but either of those I think would be useful to the community for sure.
Well,
I think, Hazel, I like the idea of that. Oh my gosh, please, why can I not get this off of here? I love the idea actually of you and Ruth sort of taking the lead on that, of like sort of hosting it. But I would not, you both have such great information to share. I would not do it, I'm not saying you will, but I would not do it only as, hey, bring your questions, because I think some people will have questions, but they won't feel comfortable asking them. They'll be like, I don't want to ask, So if you and Ruth start with all your expertise and, what you would do in a normal session at the conference, I think that would get people's brains going and, make it where they feel more comfortable asking questions. You'll probably answer a lot of the questions that they'd be too afraid to ask anyway. So
wasn't really thinking of doing a formal presentation. I mean, we have outlines that we can work off of. Ruth and I both do. She's a good trainer as far as doing a presentation on something like that.
I mean, yeah, and I don't think it necessarily has to be it doesn't have to be a PowerPoint or anything, but I do want these to be differentiated. I think we talked about this, Stephanie Solomon and I talked about this, where they're differentiated from the networking and the more social events. Those will be, no agenda, no format, just kind of show up and hang out and very relaxed and everybody talks. And I think it'll set it apart a little bit if we do have a little, I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, here, you talk for 30 minutes and then, but like if you have a few minutes of maybe even 5 to 7 minutes of talking about the business side of things. I'm sure Ruth could talk for 15 or 20 minutes about that, which I think is totally appropriate too. So
I just didn't want to commit her when she's not here. But one suggestion is for Stephanie, if you and Solomon can agree on a short program on photography for April.
Oh my God.
Then does that sound like something that's doable, or is that?
It may be, depending on both of our schedules, it may be doable if we're able to, get the lightning strikes and we're able to get together and talk about it, then I think that we could. I don't have a problem bringing it up with him. Maybe we need a few days to kind of flesh out what might happen in April, but if you want to reach out to Ruth and I reach out to Solomon, maybe we can either like you do April and we do July or vice versa. And then we can both like set up as pairs.
I
those
just
topics.
to chime in, I think that the business side of freelancing would be, I think that would be an excellent one, but also would appeal to more people than the photography one will. Especially at the beginning of the year, as we're still up at, I can't believe this will be for April, but it feels like January still. It's because the photography one, I think, is going to be a much smaller. I'd almost rather let's get as many people as we can for the first few sessions. And then we can maybe have a little bit more of a focused or narrow focus. I'd like to try to get as many people as we can kind of used to coming to these. Where they're, we're going to do social. Oh, the business of freelance. I'm going to go to that. Oh, there's another social one. Oh, there's an editor freelancer meet and greet. And then, and then we got people kind of in the habit where they might not like, what's this? I don't know what this is, but they'll come anyway, That's just my 2 cents on that.
Just as
So
a,
I'd love to see it. I just think we need
hear you.
just need to ask Ruth, I think. And if I think Ruth loves to give the presentations. I know that she loves those in the conference. So she's very good at it. I think it's just if she's going to be available or not. So I think let's talk to Ruth and then we can circle back to the programming, to you, Stephanie, and talk a little bit more about if Ruth can't do it, what should we do? Want to do that?
Sure.
Does that work, Hazel?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I'm in love with your children, Stacy.
Holy cow.
Gotta get in line.
The fifth grade teacher wants to
send them
take
over
her.
here. You can send them over here and just add more.
Perfect. She'd love it over there. That was the fifth grader. And I saw her teacher today. She goes, I need her. She's like, I need to take her. I just want to take her with me. And Callie keeps coming on and she says, Miss Johnson says she's going to steal me. Miss Johnson's going to take me. And I'm like, it's getting a little bit threatening. Do I need to fight it?
Let's find another way to.
Getting offended a little bit? Like, back off, lady.
So, all right, so we have a plan then for, and the date for April will be
Probably the last Wednesday in April.
the 26th. Are we wedded to this 6:30 p.m. start time, or could we start it just a little later?
Later?
Well,
I can do later. I don't know if anyone else can, but I can.
I
do
thought you
later.
were going to say earlier. I don't think later is an issue. I think earlier is an issue for people.
well, I mean, 6:30 is dinner time, and for us on the East Coast anyway. But I don't want to rule anybody out time-wise and time zone wise. But
I mean, I think we could start at 7. I think 7 o'clock is an appropriate start time. I wouldn't start at 8, but I think 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. California, we could do it that time. I'd love to try to keep them all at the 6:30 mark, but if we, because I want it to be consistent, but if for this one, for you presenting, or if you and Ruth are presenting, I think that's totally fine to do it that way.
well,
What'd you say? What'd you say, Hazel?
I stopped to think and.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh, Jenny says she can do later.
I can do later.
I can also do later.
I
Yeah,
don't know if that's good for you, Stacy, but
later's
Do
fine for
later.
me.
Chris, is it good for you?
Yeah,
because
So
my children are starving as we speak.
we could change, do you want to change all of them to a 7 o'clock start time instead of 6:30?
How does that mess up the people in the central? Does that?
You
work?
know,
That's fine for me, where I'm in Central, so
6:30 or
that's good.
7, it isn't that much of a
7 is
difference
good
to
for
me.
me. 7 is good because at least I can do the 5 o'clock dinner time. I don't know if that's good for everyone, but 7 EST is
I
fine.
think 7's good. I wouldn't probably do it too much later, but 7's a little bit a nicer number anyway than 6:30, just in my head. 7, oh, it's at 7 o'clock tonight. You know, the events, so we could change all of them to 7, or if we're, do we want to say that? If we're all on board with it? I'm okay with that.
I'm okay.
Okay. We could change these meetings to 7 as well. Would you rather do these at 7,
Yes.
Hazel?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow,
You
look
might
what we
have
accomplished.
time for more of them. I mean, I made dinner tonight. That I suffer when I come to a meeting at 6:30 because I have to make the dinner. It's the other.
Yes, that's the position I'm into. I
So
have to-
7 PM, you'll have been able to eat it, right? And you'll be good. Okay, you know, you see that I eat during it. I'm really sorry. I can't do this during the events, but during this meeting, I have to do that.
Yeah,
But you know,
Yeah, I'm abandoning dinner to.
my
because it's
excuse
busy
is always
time.
that I have type 1 diabetes, so I will use that.
anytime.
And I
Great excuse.
gotta eat. Okay, so great. Let's try that. Let's talk to Ruth and see if she can do that. She and Hazel want to do that for April. I will say, then we'll do another social for May. And I'm going to try really hard to do the freelance meet and greet for June. There's potential that I'm gonna have surgery the first week of June, so stay tuned. If I do, then I'm gonna not do that in June, not do this. I won't be able to do this in June. Okay,
So the 29th, we're keeping at the same time, 6:30?
Yeah, we've
Or are we
already,
moving that
we
one to-
we haven't published any of that yet. I think we can change that to 7. Let's change it to 7 and I'll go in and change the time that I have reserved right now for it. So we'll do 7. Do we have those as an hour? Do you want to do them an hour and a half? I guess an hour and a half. We'll say 7 to 8:30. I'll block out 7 to 9, but we'll, in our promotions, Stephanie, let's say 7 to 8:30.
Okay. I think I just so as not to spin our wheels, I would probably not. I don't know how this has gone in the past, but I wouldn't kind of overdo with the number of people that we have. And if it doesn't increase, I think we should adjust accordingly. We don't need to do an Oscar winning, presentation for 2 people, or, you know what I mean? I think it needs to be a little adjustable based on the audience we have, if we have an audience, that, you know what I
agree.
mean?
I agree. Yep. Yep. Yeah, if there's 2 people, we'll still do it, but I don't know, that's another good topic that we should discuss. Like,
Yeah,
do we?
I feel like if we're under 7, like 5 or 7, under 5 or 7 attendees, maybe we can try something different. I feel like it's a lot of work on our part, and also it just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
it's not a lot of value
Right.
volume wise.
Yep. And the only, if that happens, I think the way you kind of, I don't want to say save it, but we can make sure that we record each of those, and we could send that out to people,
Mhm.
see what they missed, right? If it's an especially good one,
Right.
especially good presentation, or especially
And
good.
we could also, if it happens to be an issue of attendance, we could always kind of script or, loosely script information that we want to send out, same thing, and record it and send it out, and they can watch it at their leisure. I think that would also count as, an activity that's valuable.
Sure.
If they could do it on their lunch break, or, watch it
Right.
or on their way home or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, okay. All right, let's talk about Solomon didn't come back, right? You don't see him in the waiting room. Am I missing him?
I have been texting with him. He's having problems finding a place where the internet is reasonable. So that's his
Okay.
issue. It happens to him sometimes, and
Yeah, I know. Okay, so for the convention, our session proposals were due Friday. I did not want to share this, but I'm going to share it. That's been extended. Still try to get it done Friday, but it's been extended to Sunday, March 12th. So as long as you get it in by midnight, I actually looked to see if I could find where it said midnight. It did in the original deadline, but I didn't know if it was EST. I didn't know if it was Eastern time or not. I think it is. I think it's always Eastern time, the deadlines. So I'm going to say midnight Eastern on Sunday, March 12th.
it's announced now. It's in SPJ leads has
Right. Does it say EST?
no,
That's
it doesn't say a time. It just says the deadline for proposal submissions is now March 12th.
Okay, so it is midnight. They do it, they let you do it the whole day and night. We have turned it in at 11:50 before and had those accepted and approved. So but if that's the deadline and we do not get it in until March 14th, they will not. They've got they might have a ton, they might not have enough and extend it again, but if they've got plenty, they're not going to look at it. So it's really important that we get it in. For the editor freelance, they also have the sessions this year are going to be 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and 120 minutes. There's 3 different types of sessions, lengths of sessions, really. And because they're all the same types, they can all be the same type of sessions. They don't have to be, some are paid, some are deep dives. It's none of that. It's just, these are the sessions, 60, 90, 120. They were 55 minutes before. So the editor freelancer meet and greet, I am pitching as a 2-hour session, as a 100. I think we should do, instead of all 60 minute, all 120, all 90, I think we should divvy it up how we're going to do this. I'm going to pitch that as a 120 minute session. I'm going to use the similar format that I've done in the previous years, but I think I'm going to add a pitching element to this. Just quickly, if you have any objections to that, I'll listen to them. But if you're okay with the pitching element, I'm going to throw that in my proposal. And basically what that means is if I've got 9 editors, the people going to this event, in all of the stuff, the social, everything that's going on at the conference, you can see who's going to be there. You can see what editors are going to be there. So if they have a pitch for the LA Times, they can bring it. And at the end of the, maybe we'll go an hour and 20 minutes with the editors talking about, like we did last year. We did it an hour and it was not enough time at all. Talking about what they're looking for, how to pitch them, what stories they like. People would ask questions. We were in sort of small groups. It worked great, just not enough time. But then maybe we leave 40 minutes or so for actual pitches. Maybe we incorporate that into groups. I don't know how it's going to look yet, but if you guys are okay with that, that's how I'm going to pitch it. I've emailed 59 editors so far. I'm counting because I want to know where my sanity is going. And I've confirmed a few. I've got Meg Mueller from Nevada Magazine, Cadence Bambanek from Hot House Solutions. She was here last year. I've got Angel Jennings from the LA Times. More than likely, she's trying to see if there's another editor who wants to take it, and if because she was basically letting another editor take it, and she says if not, she'll do it. But I think she wants to let someone else have the experience of it. She sounds very excited about it, actually. Lou Harry from Quill and Eater, the city's editor from Eater is reaching out to the Las Vegas Eater to see if we can get, that's just the first 5. I'm going to put 3 of those in my proposal because you can only list 3 speakers. But I should end up with about 10 editors, I'm hoping, for this conference. So I'm good to submit this now. The imposter syndrome, which Stephanie is putting together, is producing and going to moderate. She has reached out. I'll let her tell you a little bit about the executive coaches she's reached out to, but I reached out to 24 journalists yesterday, all of just different, some were involved in SPJ across the board, across the country. Ashanti is our current vice president. and she wants to do this. She wants to join. She's like, yes, I love this. This is such a great idea. I think that's actually quite a big message to send the vice president with imposter syndrome. I really think that's not a message, but it's such a good thing for people to see. First time conference goers, students. Oh, here's a person who's the vice president of SPJ, who's an Emmy Award winning journalist who has struggled with imposter syndrome. I loved that she wanted to do it. And again, I'm gonna bring these up and hope if you think, oh, maybe we shouldn't have the vice president, just if it's a conflict. I don't think it's a conflict, you know, like maybe we shouldn't have that person. Nicole DeCrisio Bow, I think it's Bow. She's the SPJ Region 5 coordinator. She's a freelance writer and photographer. She's great. And I know Ashanti and Nicole in person. Laura Garcia, did you hear him, Hazel? Did you hear Solomon just come in? Is that him?
No, it's Ruth.
Oh, it's Ruth. Ruth's here. Hello. Let's ask to unmute her and see if that works. Okay.
I just got home from a 3-hour client event and a stop at a funeral home, but I'm here.
Wow. Well, thank you for showing up for this, even after all of that. We appreciate it.
I wasn't even sure you'd still be here, so.
We're banging it out.
right.
We're talking about the imposter syndrome. We've reached out to journalists. So then Laura Garcia, she's the SPJ, she's the Region 8 coordinator and the editor of the Texas Tribune. So I think those will be good. I think there'll be more than those 3 who respond to that email I sent. I just sent it yesterday. So Stephanie, if you want to say who you have for executive coaches.
So I had a development with that today, and I sent you an email, but you may not have seen it yet. I had reached out to 3 executive coaches, one of whom was a PhD. I reached out to a clinical psychologist and another professional who I thought fit, but I had come across Richard Gardner, who fortunately or unfortunately does happen to be a white male, but he is a local expert on imposter syndrome, and he's a great source, and he's been on in several different publications as an expert on imposter syndrome. So I said, he's at UNLV. I had reached out to UNLV, which I believe is on spring break. But after 3 emails, I was able to reach out to him directly, and he responded to me this evening. And he said, thank you so much for contacting me and for the invitation. It looks like a great convention. I would be honored to help facilitate a session on the imposter syndrome. Long story, he's changing universities. He's going to be in Utah, but he still wants to attend, as far as I know, and he would like to know what he should do to prepare, assuming the proposal gets accepted. So if we are okay with, like, I would err on the side of like the expertise generally, but I had quite like a mix of people I was hoping to bring in. If you are all okay with the fact that he is a white male, he does have a lot of experience under his belt. So
We don't have to rule out white males altogether.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that we've got a lot of diversity in the other sessions and in yours, and the real, and I don't want to say real people, not like he's not a real person, but in the real people, the journalists telling their stories, there's diversity there too. So I think we're totally fine with that. I think it's great. You asked if he may expect to be paid. I doubt it.
No, none of us get paid.
No, I know, but she was wondering, like, will he expect payment for this? And I doubt he will, but just clarify it
okay.
with him. Just make sure, just like, you know, oh, that's, you know, something about like, oh, that's great that you're willing to travel from Utah. We don't have a budget for travel or something like that. Just to make sure he sort of knows, so he's not backing out at the last minute. He'll probably ask if he does expect it. I doubt that he will, though.
I figured if he was going to ask, he would have asked already, but I definitely want to, I will reiterate it in those terms for him to make sure that he is aware that it's not a paid opportunity. But
I think that's awesome. So let's definitely pitch, when you submit this proposal, have him down for sure. And if you can get an answer from 1 or 2 of the other people, or just one of them even, if we can
Oh,
get
all right,
to.
I'm glad that we're clarifying that now, because I thought that you had, one or two of the other coaches or
Yes,
the
yes,
members.
I think let's have two
Okay.
coaches. And if not, if you just got that one, that's okay too, because we'll have for the other speakers, you can put it, you may end up getting another coach. But the 3 people you can put in right now could be this guy, Richard Gardner, and Ashanti, and then Nicole, or Ashanti and Laura Garcia. And those are your 3 people, right?
Mhm.
For an alternative, you could use the other. These are 3 people who said they would do it. So here's my question on this. So let's say we'll have 1 or 2 executive coaches. This guy could probably do it all by himself, so it's fine. If we have 2, great, it's just another opinion. But if we've got 1 or 2 executive coaches, we could just have 1 or 2 journalists, or these 3, Ashanti, Nicole, Laura. Let's say the first 3 people who got back to me. Or, and I was rolling this around in my head today, and I was trying to think, how can I do this? How could, not I, but like, how could we make this a little bit different than just here's a panel of people talking? If we secured 4 or 5 journalists, or 5 or 6 journalists, which I do not think would be hard to do, because I think everybody has had this at some point in their life, dealt with it, or still dealing with it. And you could do it in the last third of the session, where instead of each of the people getting up and kind of telling their story and what they're doing to overcome it, you break the whole room into different groups with sort of the leader, Ashanti, Nicole, Laura, 3 other journalists who will get on board. And they kind of take a small group and you talk like a talk therapy session, kind of, without calling it a talk therapy session, right? Talking about this is, you know, Ashanti can tell her story to the group of 10 journalists who are in her group, and Nicole can tell
Call
her.
it a deep dive, perhaps.
What'd you say?
You can call it a deep dive, perhaps.
Right. I really like the idea of that. I think it's cool. I don't know what your thoughts are on it. We could also just have the coach up there and have Ashanti and Nicole, or all 3 of those journalists get up and sort of talk about how they've dealt with it and how they're, you know, battling it. Have them keep it to, you know, like a 5-minute, you know, overview. But if someone's got imposter syndrome and they're listening to Ashanti talk about how she has it, and they start sharing things, I think, Sergio, you and I talked about this too at the conference. I feel like you and I had this conversation, but just kind of like, oh my gosh, yes, I have that too. And how do you get out of this? And that peer-to-peer support, I think, would be great. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
So, well, I haven't determined a format yet. So I want to get the people, like, determine who it is and what their strengths are and what they might want to talk about. And then I was kind of going to go from there. I think that if you break into groups, I probably personally wouldn't use 5 or 6 people to get up and speak. I would probably use the 2 that you mentioned and then bring in the other so many. If you do break off into groups, and if you break off into groups, then maybe just determine like a thoughtful discussion, or try to give a leading point so that everybody's kind of moving along together. That would be fine. I just haven't determined like the beginning part, and how, you know, who I was going to have, what their background is, what their expertise is, and what they would be comfortable and enthusiastic talking about. So I think that would require a little bit of chit chat on my part with them to see where they're at and how they all fit together.
Yeah, and I think let's hear from other board members here about what your thoughts are. We've been to these conferences and gone to these sessions. And I didn't mean, if we have 5 or 6 journalists, I don't think it would be good for them to get up and tell their story in front of the whole room. I meant instead of that, they would break off into, you know,
Like
these
small groups or.
right.
I'm wondering, I mean, I was thinking about perhaps doing both. I mean, you have the introductory discussion, and then, you know, and I'm guessing this would impact how long. I'm not sure how long of a time frame we're asking.
What I sold to him was 90 minutes, no longer than 90 minutes. If it gets put up, you know, pulled back to 120, then I would apprise him of that beforehand. But if, you know, if you can do 30 to 40 of a panel discussion, that's kind of what I was thinking too. And then use the rest of the time for, you know, leading and guiding and peer-to-peer stuff and questions, you know, maybe stick some questions in between for the expert if, and, you know, when the panelists.
if we have one expert, and let's say we have one expert and we have 6 journalists, and we are gonna have one expert talk and then have the 6 journalists who have imposter syndrome sort of lead these small group discussions. Hazel, tell me what you think about the time on this. I think that one probably should be a 60-minute session.
But imposter syndrome?
If you just have one expert talking and then you've got break into small groups, I think that's 60 minutes.
Yeah,
And if you want people to get up and if we decide that, okay, we end up with 2 experts and we have these 3 journalists or 2 journalists who are going to get up and tell their story. We're not going to break into small groups. We're going to have 2 journalists tell their story and how they got over it or how they deal with it on a day-to-day basis. They're probably not over it, to be honest. And then we've got 2 coaches. And then you have questions, or then you want to break into groups. That could then be a 90-minute session. I don't think you do 120 for this one.
2 hours is an awful lot.
I do
even,
too.
You know,
I think the only one I see being a 2-hour session is the editor freelancer meet and greet.
Yeah.
For the forward.
I disagree with everyone. I think it's going to be awesome. I think this is a great topic. I think you'll have to push people at the door. I say it's 120. You guys can go for an hour, but you're going to see. I think this is an awesome idea, and I think you should have the panel and have the breakdown sessions, and you're going to have people, they will not leave. Mark my words. I think
let's
perhaps
let's definitely make it 90 minutes. Let's say 90 minutes.
I think you can perhaps err on the side of caution, 60 to 90 perhaps, but you'll see. I mark my words that this is going to be awesome, and people are going to be like, this is a great, memorable session, especially with the format that you're talking about, Stacy. It's different with without calling it a therapy session, deep dive, or whatever vague term you want to come with. Because when I hear like a therapy session, it's kind of icky. You may not want to do it.
yeah,
But
a
deep
little too
dive,
personal.
right. But I think a deep dive, or some other vague term to talk about what you guys are doing. But I think, Stacy, I think the idea is great. I think a panel discussion, then break it down into different groups. If you want to do 60 or 90, but I 120, and you can keep it short this time and see what you get. But I imagine that you're going to be pushing people out of the door. I think it's an awesome idea.
Okay, well, so Stephanie, let's do this. You can, when you write it up, or when you're doing the online form, we'll pitch it as a 90-minute. And we'll sort of give this overview of, we're going to have, you'll list your expert. We're going to have an expert tell us about imposter syndrome. You'll explain that. And then we'll list a couple of journalists here as your other 2 speakers. And then we'll break into groups, and you kind of give a vague overview of it, but like talk about how we're going to get in groups. And there'll be a journalist who's going to sort of lead the imposter syndrome talk, and they're a small group. I'm just saying, because you have to have this, I'm just saying it all kind of out loud, because we have to have that format in the pitch. We have to send that when we send it to them on now Sunday, not Friday. And basically what we're trying to do is we want to show them this is going to be different than the regular stand up. Here's a panel of 4 people. It's more likely to get accepted if it's a little bit different and if it's interactive. The interactive
We can even say that in the,
likely to be accepted.
we can even say that in the description. Stephanie, you could say this format is something new and different, and that might get their attention.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
agree that it's a great idea and a great topic. I just don't think it needs a whole 2 hours.
Right.
I think that just having the vice president and the editors at large publications and members, I think that's enough. Personally, I think that's enough to sell it, and to have the local expert that that everyone goes to talk about imposter syndrome. Like, I think that's a win either way. I'm not really too worried that it's not going to be accepted. So I'm hoping. I don't know how tough it is to get it accepted, but I think that we've got the best bones right now that we can have. So I'm not concerned.
Okay, so you've got names to put in there. You've got the names, the titles. I've given you the titles of those 3. If you need more information from them when you put them in as speakers, let me know.
I'd like to talk to them to get a little overview and chit chat with them. So I don't know if do we have contact information?
Yep. Yeah, I can
available.
say, I'll forward you emails from them. I did ask Laura, because I know Nicole and Ashanti already, but I did ask Laura if she could tell me a little bit about her imposter syndrome story. So if she responds, I'll just forward you that email. Okay, so there's that one. I think we're really good on getting that one submitted. We're good on getting the editor meet and greet submitted. And then Ginny, are you still there? Yeah, there you are. Ginny had a big update today, so I'll let her give it to us.
Just a quick rundown. I kind of propose it as a 60-minute session. And I've secured a couple of the folks. Kevin Smith, he's actually on the SPJ National Board, but he also leads the Kiplinger program at Ohio
Yeah.
University.
Yeah.
So he is available and said pencil him in. Then we also had another person, Hillary Rosner. She's at the it's a TED Scripps Fellowship in Environmental Journalism.
Cool.
She's a former fellow, and she also helps to run the program. So we kind of could, she could
To
speak
her.
for
Yeah.
Great.
that. We did also reach out to Michael Bolden of the SPJ Foundation. And
Michael Bolden.
yes, I haven't heard back from him yet. He is on.
Not that Michael Bolton.
That poor guy, he must get that all the time. Sorry.
And then Hazel also suggested a fourth one, Juanita. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, Islas. She's the program director at the International Women's Media Foundation, and they have a lot of opportunities for freelancers. I didn't know if we wanted one of us to serve as the moderator. I know for some reason, I thought we had thought about Hazel, but I didn't know if we wanted to do Hazel or get someone of the like, that's involved with a fellowship or a grant. Maybe they don't speak, but maybe they're our moderator. And I think, if we went with 3 panelists, maybe one of those names could be the moderator. I had also made a note. Liz Carter she's from Scripps, and she is the CEO of Scripps Howard Foundation. And she comes to SPJ a lot. So I just noted her name, and then, or someone from Pointer, because it does look like they have some funding opportunities at Pointer. Or we could, I didn't know if we wanted one of our own or one of these type of people to do it.
I think the moderator is really just the person organizing it, making sure people know where to be, when to be. Here's the language we want to use in the program. I think we should be a moderator. I think one of us on the board.
Yeah.
It also keeps us in who's putting this session on. It's us. It's the freelance community. So I strongly feel that we should be. And Ginny, if you don't want to be the moderator, then I'm sure someone else can come in. But since you're producing it, you got first shot at it. If you want to be the moderator, the person there who sort of introduces people. And we don't have to decide that necessarily right now. You could, oh, no, you do actually, because it says if you are submitting this proposal, we expect that you'll be the moderator. That's the wording in the.
That's
okay.
fine. I just wanted to run it by the group.
Okay, yeah, so I think Ginny, if you're the moderator, and I think if you've got at least 2, Kevin and Hillary, it sounds like are confirmed that yes, they'll do it.
Yes.
Do you have a third one? I sort of got lost with all I love how many names you have. Do you have a third one confirmed?
My third one that I've already reached out to is Michael Bolden of SPJ Foundation. And I think that's the one you had in your original email, but he hasn't emailed back yet.
Okay.
April did email back, but her email was more about the, and I think she just had a couple questions. She really didn't suggest any additional speakers. And then Hazel had made the other suggestion of Juanita. So we have a fourth one if we need it. But if we get Michael, then maybe we don't need a fourth one.
So so we've got Kevin and Hillary for sure. It says that you can't put their name in unless they've been, that you need to have contacted them and have them confirmed, including the alternative speaker. So I wouldn't put Michael's name in there unless you actually email or talk to him where he responds and says, yes, I'll do this.
Can we,
Um,
Hillary, can we add somebody at a later time, or if we only suggest, if we only propose 2 people now, are we committed to only those
So
people?
we can, we can substitute. We did that last year.
That's what I
But
thought.
right
okay.
now, they want to know that we've reached out and we're not just saying, oh, this person would be good. And then they don't, they don't even, they're never going to do it. So they're trying to make sure they also want to see the diversity. They want to see who are our panelists going to be, not just us, but the whole conference. I think that I do that a lot with editors. I had 4 editors drop in the last week, right
remember,
before the
yeah.
conference. So we dropped, and then that's a little bit different than speakers, but Hazel, I think, had Clayton stepped in, right? Didn't he step in as a speaker? We had a speaker who didn't show up for or never got back to us for moving mediums, and I did it with someone else at moving mediums. So that is fine, I think. That's expected, but I do think when we pitch these, we can't say, oh, even if we know we're going to find someone, we can't say, well, we're not sure yet, but we know we'll have someone. We just have to have the names and have them say yes, especially this one, because they can reach out to Michael Bolden and say, hey, have you talked to Ginny? And if he says, no, who's that? And then they're like, oh, Ginny's lying to us. So, you know what I mean? So we gotta make sure this one for sure. I mean, we've got the confirmations for all of these so far. So I think we're pretty
Tell you
good.
who Michael Bolden is. He is the either president or executive director of the American Press Institute, API, which is the big media, the big traditional media group. And when he first came to a freelance community annual meeting or something like that at an SPJ conference, he was the editor for the Knight Foundation. And he was helping get fellows and get people to apply for grants at that. And that's the reason that I put his name forward. But he also is a member of the foundation board. That's just
Great.
not.
And I think he sounds great. I think that, and he'll be there. So I think this will be
he will be there, but I can't promise that he
Yeah.
will say yes for this panel. I just don't know.
Right. So we'll just hope that he responds to Ginny. And I do think, actually, like we talked about having somebody, a journalist who has won a grant or to talk to. I don't necessarily know if we need that. And especially at this point, if we don't have it, I think I would just stick to those 2 or 3 experts, Ginny, when you're pitching this. If we add one later, I don't think that's a terrible thing. As long as we're not replacing all 3 people, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's understandable, I think.
Hillary is also a former fellow, so she could probably speak to that as well.
Right, exactly. So you're good. You're good on this one then. So we just got to come up with a description of what we want to say in the program. Basically, it's going to be that 100-word, what you're going to submit. That's going to be in the program that people are like, oh, do I want to go to this session? So that part is important. And I think this one is a 60-minute, you said 60-minute session, but I think also this one might be one of those that's a traditional panel, 3 people up there talking. I don't think there's an interactive anything. We could come up with, we could work on this when we get closer to the date. You could put in there that we're going to have a handout. Oh, no, we do have it already. We'll tell people we're going to give them the, make sure this is in your 100-word thing, that people will walk away with a link to our database. For our fellowship database. Perfect. Oh my gosh, perfect. So make sure that that's in there, what we have on our the database that Hazel works so hard on. So that's
great.
perfect. So that one's great. Okay, so good. So hopefully Michael gets back to you the next couple of days. And then the last one, which I'm always just amazed when we pull it off, but Ruth.
Yeah, actually, I think I haven't had a chance to look and see about contact information. I have one confirmed presenter, which is
Awesome.
Elizabeth Donald, who will be there And for those of you who haven't met her, she's wild and crazy and a lot of fun, and she will be ideal for Freelancing 101. I have a suggestion from Solomon and I think Hazel for somebody, a person of color who's on the regional. Am I right, Hazel? The regional
That one came from me, Travell.
from you. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I haven't had a chance. I have had the most insane week or so. I haven't even had time to think straight. I will spend tomorrow trying to contact that person and a couple other people I have in mind, so we can wrap that one up tomorrow. I will do the language, the description, and I'll jazz it up a bit to be
Perfect.
something different from last year.
Okay.
And at the moment, I keep going back and forth. I think I'm planning to go so I can moderate it. And I can
Okay.
also help out if we need somebody for any of the other sessions.
Perfect. And that could happen if we, just so everybody who's going knows, any one of these people could back out and we are probably going to have to be the ones to step in unless we
Yeah.
can find somebody else at the conference. That happens, and be ready.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to give you, so Ruth, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to look, oh, here it is. Ruth, it's Travell, did Solomon send you an email with the contact information?
I don't think so, but I've been out all afternoon and I haven't.
Okay,
yet
I actually have,
earlier
it's Travell Anderson and I have their email address. I don't know if you want it right now or if I can just, if I forward it to you.
Can you just send it to me or forward it to me? That's
Yeah,
quicker and easier.
let me.
And I did have one thought. I don't know what everyone else would think. I did kind of think about asking, what's her face, Rebecca Aguilar. I'm guessing as immediate past president, she might be there. Or no, she's past president.
Yeah, and I think,
And I
yeah,
think
she would
she's
be
still
there.
on the board in some capacity, but
She's not.
we contacted her last year. We didn't hear back from her until after the other speakers had confirmed. So we had to kind of say thanks, but no thanks. And I know she could be a pill, but I think she could be a good participant in this panel. And I'm up for asking her if the rest of you think it's worth it.
Yeah, I would stick right. I think she's a great alternate. If you get her to say yes, I think that would be good.
Okay.
I think that I would love to see Travell. I
No,
think,
I would like to give Travell
and
first
Elizabeth.
shot because that's a new face. for
Yeah,
our group.
exactly. Exactly.
we
I would love to have new faces and I totally respect Rebecca and I am Facebook friends with her and I get along well with her. We've had differences in opinions, but we've gotten along great. I really respect her. But
And
I
I think
I
she
bet
and
we
I
could
are
find-
okay, so
What'd you say?
I'm up for checking with her, because we'll need,
An alternate.
yeah,
Okay. I'm sending this to you right now. I'm
Thank
just gonna call it contact info.
yeah.
And
perfect.
I just have their email address. They go
That's
by
fine.
day down.
Yep.
So just so you
Yep.
are aware.
I saw that, that much I absorbed.
Okay. And again, that could be if we have someone to add, like, let's say we've got these two confirmed and then, oh, there's one more person who would be really great. We want to add them to it for 3. I don't think you'd necessarily need 3 speakers, but it depends. And could still keep, if Rebecca's interested in being an alternate, could still keep her as the alternate.
Yeah.
So but that sounds like that one's pretty good too, as long as we can get Travell to say yes.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
So let's hope. Sounds like they go to, lots of the SPJ events, so.
And I like the idea that there's a National Association of Black Journalists connection with them.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a good cross fertilization, pollination, something. And I
Right.
can use the fact that I'm in the ABJ to establish a connection, and maybe then they'd be
Right.
likely to say yes.
That's perfect. I bet they'll be up for it. So, okay,
Elizabeth wasn't on the moving mediums panel last year, was she?
no.
No, she was on one of the freelancing ones, but she's still good.
Yes, we were gonna try to not have repeats, but at this point, we need to
We
submit the
need people. We
proposals.
need to have them.
Yes, we were gonna, and I think just we wanted to make sure that we were getting, I think we've got a lot of new faces. I think that's amazing. So I think
Matthew.
we've got new
Matthew.
editors, we've got new everything.
Matthew.
So I think we're gonna be good. Just please remember the deadline. I'm gonna send you an email or two, probably not tomorrow, but probably Friday. And it's gonna sound very naggy. And I don't mean to nag you like my 14-year-old daughter, but it's only because I don't want to miss the deadline. And I want people to nag me to not miss it. Like you know what I mean? Like if I was busy doing stuff and, oh, I got to submit this, don't forget. And then, oh my gosh, it's Monday morning, I forgot to submit it. I'd be very thankful for your naggy email.
So we
I'm-
have till Monday, because I put down tomorrow for my,
It was Friday at midnight
okay,
and now it's Sunday at midnight.
all right, well, I'm gonna put Friday so I don't miss it.
Yes, Friday is good. So I think I'm gonna do it by Friday. Also, I'm set. I don't need to wait anymore and I don't want to use my weekend for it. So I'm gonna submit it. So if it gets down, if Jenny or Stephanie, if you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had to know this, or what is this? What do I have to put here? I'm gonna have already submitted mine, so I can help out with those. If you have any questions, Hillary and I famously remember Hillary and I staying up very late to submit session proposals and just talking back and forth and texting. I was like, what do I put here? She's like, put this, write this down. Okay. You know, just,
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy. And it was like 11:57 or something. And we
I
got it.
remember.
It's nuts. So try to avoid that because it's a little bit stressy that we don't need. So, but it sounds like we're good. It sounds like it all sort of is coming together and I'm excited about it. All right, so now let's come up with 2 more ideas to pitch. I'm just kidding.
Well, I could do websites for freelancers.
Oh, Ruth, we talked about you earlier. So actually, it's good that you're here because we can talk about this. Stephanie, we were talking about our March event is going to be March 29th, and that's just a social happy hour networking virtual event. And then we're going to have a more formal event in April. And we were trying to figure out what to do. And Stephanie kind of went down the list of different program ideas.
And Hazel and I have just
Yeah.
agreed to do one on business of freelancing on April 20th.
How do you know this already?
Because
They
Hazel and
talked.
I were chatting. So we're all done.
Perfect. That's awesome. What day, when are you going to do it?
April 26th.
Okay, so that the last Wednesday, right? And we also, everybody was sort of lamenting they would like a 7 p.m. start time for the meetings,
Okay,
board meetings and the events. Does that work for you? It would be
That's fine with
6 p.m.
me.
your time. Okay.
it's fine with me.
I think we're gonna change them. That gets everybody past dinner, I think is
Yeah.
the issue. So that'll be good. I'm gonna block off that April 26th time slot now then.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say 7 to 9, even though. we're
Yeah,
gonna-
and Hazel did send a chat message to everyone that says, Ruth and I will do the April program.
Yes.
I have not
And
looked. at the
Stephanie
chat.
said, thank you. So
And
we're
I'm-
all good.
What date is our April meeting?
26. 2 days after my birthday. Everybody
Oh.
bring cake.
Are you a
Okay,
Taurus?
I'm now reading the chat. When's your birthday?
April 24th, I am going to
Wow.
be 70 years old.
Wow,
That's what I say. I
70
can't
years
be
young.
I can't be 70 years old. That's old.
But you
Are you
don't
a
feel it,
Taurus?
do you? Do you still feel like 30? I mean, I feel,
I feel like I'm somewhere in my late 20s to mid 30s.
yeah, isn't it weird as the older we get? It's just like, how am I 47? Like, how did
I'm
I get
stuck
here?
in my 20s. I'm in my college. I'm in
Yeah,
my college. Yeah, I don't know what
Well,
happened.
and being without Wayne anymore, it kind of throws me back into before he and I met sometimes. So that, and I just came from the visiting hours for one of my high school friends who also ended up here and died totally unexpectedly a couple days ago. And it's very weird.
wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank
That's,
you.
no, and thank you for coming, especially after a funeral. We appreciate you being here.
I'd much rather be here.
Because we were gonna definitely
You were gonna
bombard you
volunteer
with
me for
emails. I was gonna
everything.
bombard you with emails. Ruth, can you do
You were
this?
you were going to volunteer me for everything that nobody else wants to
Exactly.
do.
Well, Ruth will do it. That'll get people to come to these meetings to make sure they're there. If you're not there.
Yeah.
We're volunteering you. The
Exactly.
only other pressing thing that and Hazel's left, but Hazel brought it up, is we need someone to volunteer to step in to help moderate the Facebook page. Right now, I think Hillary, Hazel, Ginny, and Susan are Facebook moderators. But we need, I shouldn't say moderate the page. We need people to vet and admit the new members. And I am not sure if that's something anybody wants to just say, yes, I'll do that and I'll step up right now. I know that I can't do that with what's on my plate right now. So I will not be able to do that. I'm not a moderator on the Facebook page.
I normally, Stacy, I would jump in and say yes, but I'm so behind on updating our how-to guide, and I've got a lot of other stuff going on.
Right, and I'd rather have you working, the how-to guide is so important, that
Yeah.
update, yeah, so that's totally
Oh,
understandable.
Jenny just said she can do it. All right.
Jenny, are you not able to, are you like muted where you can't speak? Okay.
Yeah, I got muted again, but
Yeah.
I've kind of been doing the moderation, but I've kind of the others do it, but I can certainly do more, so I can do that.
So really what we need really is for somebody to make sure that, because Hazel said we've had a lot of weird requests. We gotta keep it, we want to keep it to just freelance journalists, right? So we're trying we got to make sure we're not letting everybody in. So that we need people to vet, we need someone to vet those people and then let them in. And then that welcome email that Hazel usually does, I think that's what we're looking for. I do not do any of that stuff. So Hazel is the one that would take you through that. So I might send an email to Hazel and just CC you and say that you'd be interested, or that you'd volunteer to spend some time on this too. Maybe you and Hazel can do it together for a little bit and just see how it goes. She can show you how to do that. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know how much, I mean, if it takes way too much time and it's like, wow, I can't do this, that's okay too. Just let us know that. I don't know how much time it takes at all. Hazel will be able to tell you that. But if it does, I think I talked to Hazel earlier about this today, about, is this something we could put out to a volunteer, but because it's letting people in or not, and it's on a Facebook page, we think that it needs to be a board member. So
That makes sense.
yeah, so that's, I agree with her on that. So it is going to have to be one of us, I think. And it could be, Ginny, maybe you do it for a little while, maybe somebody else takes it, maybe it's like a 6 month stint that we do it.
Usually, like how we worked it in the past is like whoever got to it first did it, and I think it was largely Hazel and Susan that have kind of done it, and maybe with Hazel stepping away, I feel like Susan's done it more lately.
Yeah.
And I think I've just stepped in a few times when they didn't do it. That's kind of how it's sort of worked in the past, but maybe I haven't talked to Susan about it lately. And
okay. So maybe when we talk to Susan again, maybe it could be you and Susan for a little bit. And if we need to add a third person to that, we can. And maybe it is a rotation, like, okay, I've got it this month and you've got it next month, and then the third person has it the next month.
It's not that many, like, I mean, sometimes we get a lot at once, but it might be like, it kind of happens on a rolling basis where you just get like 2 at a time or 4, or you might get, I feel like at the highest point, we maybe had like 8 or 9 at once, but so it's not a lot really.
Okay. So, you know, Susan's going to Japan, right?
Yes,
I'm so jealous.
So if, I talked to Susan earlier, I emailed with Susan earlier. And if you would just make sure while she's gone, because I think she has been doing it a little bit lately, just maybe not starting now, if you could just see if there's any new members to let in. I think Hazel said that there were new people in there. I don't know if they're like in a queue, lined up, waiting. I don't know how it works, but I think she said that there were some people in there right now. And I don't think Susan can get to it. And
If
Susan,
there are people, if people have requested, then the request stays somewhat like a queue until one of the administrators gets
Okay.
to it,
perfect.
makes it yes or no.
Okay, so that would be great, Ginny, if you could do that. And don't let that take precedence over our session proposals. If you don't get that till Monday, then great, you're next week, you know what I mean? If you can get to it before, I don't know how many are in there, and maybe I'm gonna send an email to you and Hazel just to kind of make sure we're all on the same page with this. Susan is going to, she'll curate the Twitter page a little bit while she's gone when she can, but it won't be as much as she has been. But she said if Hazel continues to tag the Twitter account on stuff she's posting on Facebook, she said that should be pretty good while she's gone in Japan. Not having fun while we're all doing that. So. And Chris is working, I think Chris is going to work with Hazel on one of the databases. And then Bernadette, I think, was the other volunteer to work on the other database. So,
Yes.
and I don't know, Hazel probably hasn't reached out to you yet about that.
No, and I haven't reached out to her either. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's on me.
I saw that she had just reached out. I just asked that because I saw that she reached out to Bernadette maybe today, but I didn't see an email to you yet. So it's coming.
Okay.
So you're gonna get an email pretty soon. She might, but with you on the board, she might call you. I don't know how she'll do it, but I think it is a lot. And she may just want to do one at a time. She may just start with Bernadette and kind of go through that and then come to you afterwards, because it's a lot. Those databases are not, it's a lot to explain it. Wait, hold on. Who just asked this question about Solomon?
I did.
Solomon was not on a panel last year. He would be
No.
new.
And he would be a new name and face. And my thought was, we almost always do these with print or maybe online journalists, word journalists, people who write. And it just occurred to me that he could represent colleagues who do photography or graphics or, something other than writing.
Yep.
And that
Yeah.
might get us, again, a lot more people. So if it's okay with you all, I will drop him a note and ask if he'd be willing.
Yeah, I think that's great. And we've kind of like, oh, let's not, he is a new face for sure. And I love that he's a photographer and we can talk about that. But I think you could do all three. You can have three speakers. I think Elizabeth, Travell, and Solomon would be great.
Yeah. I think that would be a good combination.
So let's just tell Solomon he's going to do it. Don't ask him. No, I'm just kidding. He might be a little bit hesitant. Sometimes Solomon's like, oh, I don't know. Because he's got imposter syndrome, I think. But
I can
you gotta talk him into it because he'll be great.
I can do it. I can talk him into it.
Perfect. Okay. That would be a great 3. Perfect.
All right.
Also, do you want to do that as a should we pitch that one as a 90-minute session? If there's 3 panelists, I wonder.
I think it would be worth pitching it. Again, I don't think it needs 2 whole hours.
I don't
It might
either.
be worth pitching it because my thought is we got 3 people, give them 20 minutes each.
And then you got questions
And then you need time for questions and answers. If we end up wrapping up a little before 90 minutes, I don't think anybody will complain.
right.
And if we need and that way we're not rushing, because my experience has been with 3 or 4 people speaking, an hour is often, it might be enough for everyone to make their remarks, but then the question and answer is really constrained.
But I think also we can, like, you can help guide what we should cover, where we might leave some of that stuff out in a 55, the old 55-minute sessions. We could wax poetic on some of these.
Yeah, we could,
topics that, you know,
yeah,
that,
the presenters could have a few more minutes than usual, and then
yeah,
we can, if we don't get enough questions to take it to the end of the session, those of us speaking can always come up with some additional tips or insights that
Yeah,
they can get to
yeah.
already.
yeah.
So I
And
think
you,
that's a
and
great
you, if
idea.
you're moderating this session too, that would give you some time at moderating it. If, oh, I really want to make sure we talk about this and no one's
Yeah.
touched on it, so you're going to touch on it. So I
All
think
right,
that would be
90
great.
minutes. All right, I will pitch it as 90. And if they give us 60, so they give us 60.
Right, and I'm guessing that that's what's gonna happen, is that people will pitch 90 and say, oh, we'd like this to be 60. I doubt they're gonna ask for people to pitch more,
Right.
or sorry, to move up to 90, but it could be. And so let's ask for 90 and see what we got. So,
Let's ask for more than we need and go from there.
exactly. All right, I'm gonna stop. Let's adjourn the meeting. I'm gonna stop recording. So should
Thank you,
we don't have
everyone.
to, we don't have to do the motion to adjourn, right? Like, it's not that formal.
I
All
move
right,
to adjourn.
Stephanie, we'll see you later.
Thank you
Stephanie's
all.
moving. Yes, okay.
Bye,
And
guys.
so keep me posted when you do the